Okay, and that brings us to the player that was tied with Mark Andrews in our rankings at number 3, Tyler Higbee from the Los Angeles Rams. Without question, I am one of the biggest fans of Tyler Higbee for 2020. We discussed it in the wide receiver episode where we were talking about the value of Cooper Kupp. And the reason that Cooper Kupp's value was so low in our last episode was because of Tyler Higbee. We can break it down just by Higbee's snap count alone. In weeks 1 through 9, Tyler Higbee's snap count never topped 64%. Once they switched to the 12 personnel and ran 2 tight ends and made Higbee a focus of that offense and made Cooper Kupp touchdown dependent, Tyler Higbee's snap counts were 76%, 69, 91, 97, 85, 89, and 96%. That's a staple of an offense if you're seeing a tight end regularly above 85, 90% of the offensive snaps.
I mean, those last 5 games of 2019, he had 522 yards and 56 targets. That's a huge amount of volume for a tight end. So I think they can carry that over next season. I know you're definitely banging the drum for Higbee, but I'm not far behind you. I'm a big fan of him.
Yeah, I've done a standard league mock draft from every position in a 12-team draft so far on ESPN, and on almost every single one of those rosters, I look and I find myself with a Tyler Higbee.
Now, how far do you see him falling in these drafts?
I've been getting him in the 8th or 9th round, which is incredible value from how high he is on my radar. Every time I see him in those later mid-rounds, I'm jumping all over it and not waiting for the dart throws later on, whether it's T.J. Hawkinson or other players that we're going to mention later. I think that the value for Tyler Higbee going in the later mid-rounds is just head and shoulders above the value you're going to get for any other tight end that late in the draft. And if you look at the last 6 games that Tyler Higbee played in 2019, he saw 10.3 targets per game, averaged 90.3 yards per game, 11.3 yards per reception, and scored 2 touchdowns.
That's TE1 stuff.
Oh, that's an elite tight end. Yep. That's your top 3. I mean, if he puts that, which it's an unsustainable pace, probably. It's record-setting.
Yeah.
But if he were to take those 6 games and you multiply it by a 16-game season, that's 165 targets, 128 receptions for 1,400 yards and 5 touchdowns. That would be a record-setting season by a tight end.
Some big numbers right there.
I'm not projecting that Higbee is going to come out in the Rams offense and put up 1,400 yards. That would be the boldest prediction I've ever made. But I can easily see him getting 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns.
And that's all you want out of a tight end position. You want enough consistency to be able to rely on a guy week in and week out. That's all you want, in my opinion.
A lot of the people that play fantasy football with me know that after the elite tight ends, if I don't get an elite tight end at value, maybe 3rd or 4th round when I thought they were going to go 2nd, there's been a lot of times where I've waited until almost defense and kicker part of the draft to take a lotto ticket on a tight end, and then I just stream them the rest of the way, because there's always your sleepers that you're going to find on the waiver wire early in the season. Last year we saw Darren Waller. Last year we saw Mark Andrews. Both of them were either super late draft picks or found on the waiver wire. And I've always tried to hit the home run on the waiver wire early in the season to find that guy. But when I'm looking at a ceiling this high going in the 8th or 9th round, and this completely depends on if you think the LA Rams are going to stay in 12 personnel. If you think that their head coach is going to move back to that spread offense that they were running at the start of the year, weeks 1 through 9, then Higbee's value is going to take a huge hit, because not only is he going to be the only tight end on the field, he's going to be splitting those reps with Gerald Everett, which is going to take a huge chunk of his opportunity away. But as long as they have 2 tight ends on the field, Higbee's going to be on the field no matter what. He's always going to be there. and we saw how much he was targeted in the second half of last year. He was a league winner from being found on the waiver wire late in the season. And I have a lot of confidence that as long as the Rams stay in the 12, that Tyler Higbee is going to be a top 4 tight end for 2020. Whether you're in PPR or standard, Higbee is going to be a value pick as long as you have faith of the Rams staying in the 12. Now, if they open camp and everyone's saying that McVay has them spread out and they're not using 2 tight end sets, it's going to be a huge red flag for me, and maybe my rankings will come down a little bit. But as long as I think that they're going to keep using 2 tight end sets, Higbee's my guy for 2020.